This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the world.
Ross Savage, software developer at Satimoto, Leipzig, Germany.
Club Mate is a caffeinated carbonated mate extract beverage made by the Loscher Brewery near Münchenach, Germany, which originated in 1924. Club Mate has 200 milligram of caffeine per liter, and Club Mate has a relatively low sugar content of 50 grams per liter and low calories compared to other beverages such as cola or most energy drinks. Does a glass of Club Mate keep you energized during work?
Yes.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is a 1981 American action-adventure film, part of the Indiana Jones series, directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Lawrence Kasdan. Did you know there's a shot-for-shot amateur remake called Raiders of the Lost Ark, the adaptation that took the filmmakers 7 years to finish?
No.
Sir Arthur Charles Clarke was an English science writer, futurist, inventor, and television series host. Clarke described a global computer network similar to the modern World Wide Web and predicted that by the 21st century, access to information and even physical tasks, such as surgery, could be accomplished remotely and instantaneously from everywhere in the world using the internet and satellite communication. Do you think Clarke would have been a Bitcoiner nowadays?
Yes.
If I had the choice, I want to grow old in South Africa.
No.
Audi will integrate Satimoto in their car software within 10 years from now.
No.
A burrito is a dish in Mexican and Tex-Mex cuisine that took form in Ciudad Juarez, consisting of a flour tortilla wrapped into a sealed cylindrical shape and various ingredients. Burritos are often eaten by hand as their tight wrapping keeps the ingredients together. Do you know that the word burrito means little donkey in Spanish and is possibly derives from the tendency for burritos to contain a lot of different things, similar to how a donkey will be able to carry a large burden?
No.
Stoke-on-Trent, often abbreviated to Stoke, is a city in Staffordshire, England. In 2019, the city had an estimated population of around 260,000. Stoke is the home of the pottery industry in England and known as the Potteries, whose distinctive local dialect. The best known word is duck, which is used as a greeting to either men or women. Do you always greet each other using the word duck?
Yes.
Is currywurst your favorite fast food dish?
No.
Did you know that a growing number of Radiohead fans believed that the 1997 album OK Computer and the 2007 album In Rainbows blend into each other when listening to them in sequence, so one song from one and then the other from the other album?
No, but I have to try it now.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 58 of Connect the World. This show is made possible by BL3P, the Dutch Bitcoin exchange. Thanks you guys for helping us to continue our mission also this year. And if you also, as a listener, want to help us in our mission, then follow us on Twitter, subscribe at our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions at all or just want to be part of the community, check out our Telegram group. All the information will be in the show notes. And of course, a donation is always welcome. Welcome, everybody. Steph, Ross.
Hey.
The man who is
Good
not,
to have you with us.
The man who is not Satoshi Nakamoto.
No, that's right.
It's a squashed together Satoshi Nakamoto, but it's not Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh man, hey, good to have you on the show. Those yes or no questions are pretty tricky, right?
Yeah, they indeed are. So, and I heard some interesting answers. So we're gonna ask you some of those again, and hopefully, we can inspire you. For example, to listen to that Radiohead movie that I have here. But first, let's head to the highlights of this week.
Conecta el mundo.
The highlight is one highlight because we just wanted to talk about SatsBack. Past year, they helped us, right, Steph, with our NFC
the
card.
NFC cards, which has expired by now, by the way, unfortunately. But you can still use them if you connect them to your own LN Bits instance. So and there's a whole explanation of that. So if you have the card and want to use it, then head over to our Telegram group, and there you find the link, which is also on our website. And there's a whole blog with how to attach it to your own nodes, because that's, if you like to experiment, that's interesting to do. Now, Ross, did you know about the existence of satsback.com? Do you use it when you shop online?
I do know about it. I follow them on Twitter, and it's something that I definitely will look into, because I'm very interested about the whole SatsBack mechanism, and we also have something in Satimoto as well that's very similar. So yeah, it's definitely, I want to try everything in Lightning like one time just to see how it works and like to get used to it.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Free Bitcoin, Ross. Free Bitcoin. Come on.
I know. You can't say no to free Bitcoin.
Earning sets and just not knowing what it is, it doesn't matter. And then later, then you...
it appreciates your value, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Conectează lumea.
So welcome, Ross. Yeah, obviously you are here to talk about Satimoto. And we are really glad to have you on the show. Maybe, Edward, it is good to first come back at one of the answers Ross gave at the questions. Because I saw that your favorite country, Ross, is South Africa. So I thought, well, maybe you would like to grow old in there. And with all the things happening in Africa now with the Bitcoin adoption, maybe bring Satimoto over there, although I don't know if there is a big market for electric vehicles over there as of now, but you don't know, maybe in the future.
I think there could be, because, I mean, if you look at India also bringing a lot of EVs into their country at the moment, so it's a very up-and-coming thing. I think if you provide good infrastructure early on, then I think they can do it. But they also have a lot of energy problems there, so I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go.
Because we have a lot of participants within our Rings of Fire, and every now and then one of the members from South Africa tells us that they had an internet power outage, power outage, so that their notice has become offline. So that's a tricky.
It actually happens like multiple times per day. I have a colleague that I work with in Cape Town, and they're called. What are they called? Actually, I've totally forgotten the name of it, but it's load shedding. So they have load shedding like every day, where they switch from like powered to backup power, and they just have to deal with that because, you know, everything's badly funded in terms of like energy infrastructure, and, you know, it's very hard for them. So a lot of people have like these UPS devices just to make sure everything's running properly. But South Africa is a beautiful place. I've been there lots of times, and I've worked there a little bit, and I've traveled all around the country, but I just can't quite yet see myself like making that quite big leap to get there.
But you're now living in Germany, and is this the place where you want to grow old then, or do you want to go back to Stoke maybe?
It's definitely a possibility that I could definitely grow old in Germany. My family, or at least my wife's side of the family, live in Germany. I haven't really thought about it, but I've also thought about living in the UK as well. Going back to home could be a possibility, or going to the Isle of Man, because it's the original Bitcoin island. So, and it's a really nice place. And I visited it a long time ago, and I'd love to go back there. But yeah, I could think about South Africa, and I've been there quite a few times with work, and I've also traveled quite a lot there. But I just don't quite see it as like that place to settle down yet.
But your German is fine then. If you is your wife actually German also? Born in Germany?
Yeah, my wife's from close to Leipzig, so and that's the reason we moved up from Munich. We were both living in Munich. Yeah,
makes sense. So your German is okay.
Oh, it's as good as any other British person's German.
Oh, really?
He speaks loud and slowly in English.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
Well, it's kind
okay.
of for us Dutchies. I think it's more easy because our languages are similar in a way. So we can
that's right.
It's easy for us to understand German, and I mean, I'm always thinking that a German person can also easily understand me, but
for me it's difficult still. But that's because I'm half Spanish. I think the German language, I don't know. It's for me it's really difficult.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I think just being in Europe, I think there's more of like a willingness to kind of learn the languages of kind of your neighboring countries, whereas in English you're kind of this island, and you never really think you're gonna leave the island, you know. I've grown up and going to school. I never imagined living in Europe.
No,
but it happens.
That's kind of strange actually, because in that time period you were already part of Europe, right? I mean, now you're obviously on your own again.
I don't think the British really consider themselves ever being European.
No, never.
I don't know. They're kind of stubborn that way.
Well, makes sense. And,
they always been. No.
but there's also one thing I'm thinking of now, because you said that Audi won't integrate Satimoto in their car software within 10 years from now. And I think, if you're developing an app like Satimoto, that must be one of your main goals, right? To get it integrated in the big brands. And
yeah, I'm just trying to be humble. Of course, I would love if any vehicle manufacturer would be interested in doing it, and of course, it's something I think about. You know, there's is already possibilities of integrating like the like Apple Auto,
CarPlay.
CarPlay. Oh, sorry, Android Auto, CarPlay. You know, there's possibilities of doing this, but it would be really nice to have a much deeper integration within the car, and even have the car itself do the payments. So authenticating,
exactly.
paying.
That was what I was thinking about, because it's always a hassle, you know. Did I press the pay now button, or did I forgot to open up the app or something? That's things where I'm always struggling with. And I was thinking immediately, when I mean, you can pay for every second if you want, you know, and how nice would it be that you just park your car and just leave the car, and the car knows that it has to pay.
So don't use an intermediate device, but but have the car be smarter than that.
I think it will come. I mean, there's definitely advancements in the way that cars can authenticate already with charge points, and that's coming to market soon. So there's already ways where you can kind of connect your car to like your roaming provider, like your service provider, and then it already authenticates like you would like with an app or with an RFID card. So it's coming, and I guess there's going to be more deeper integrations. I would hope someone like Elon Musk or Tesla would jump on that, and hopefully it's not like Dodge or any of the other shit coins.
No,
you never know.
Exactly. I mean, well, if there is a company who could lead this, then it definitely will be Tesla, of course.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I think it makes a lot of sense for
he
him
would
as well.
leave Twitter.
I thought he was already going to leave Twitter. He kind of backed out of that whole thing.
I think you're right. We'll see. Time will tell, right?
Yeah. Time will tell, yeah. Hey guys, well, we have a new structure to the show, Edward. It's also a bit exciting for us because normally we have like a first part of the show with the statistics and all. But we decided to make the show more compact. I think we also talked about it the last episode of 2022, Edward.
You're absolutely
so
right.
It's not a big surprise to our audience, but I think the people by now, hopefully, they found out that the structure of the show is a bit different than they are used for us. So, but I hope you guys, you will like it. Again, the show is more compact now, so we only have
faster.
It's going faster. No, but we now focus mainly on the interview with our guests. And
today, the statistics of the Rings of Fire are on our website. So
you can keep track. That up and today. If you want, because we didn't close the Ring of Fire project. I mean, it's still alive and kicking. We opened up on a couple of rings this week. To be honest,
so absolutely.
So if you want to keep up to date with the statistics from the Rings of Fire community, you can check it out at our website, as Edward already mentioned. But you can also join our Telegram group because it's a very active group. So you can also find all the statistics there if you are still interested. And we found out that Ross is very interested in our statistics. So Ross, you mustn't join that Telegram group, mate.
Sorry, I was kind of disappointed that I wouldn't be listened to. No, just joking.
Maybe we can do it in the after talk. I will.
Of course.
Okay.
Speed up some details with you. No, and I have to thank Ramon, by the way. Obviously, our own Ramon from the Connected World, but also Ramon de Vries, who backed my back during my vacation. So Ramon, you nailed it. Thanks for balancing those rings as a master of ceremony. You're doing a great job. So if there are some nice things to mention in the show, we obviously keep doing this. Yeah. So don't be afraid that you will never hear anything about the Rings of Fire community anymore. That won't be the case. So.
And our guys behind the scenes, Laptopman and Ramon, our designer, and to think of all the scripts again and to have us make this podcast like we're doing now. So that's we hope
you guys did an awesome job.
They did an awesome job. Indeed.
Enough for the compliments. All right. Ross, we obviously have a lot of questions for you about Satimoto. And this part didn't change, so we still have 21 minutes to ask you all kinds of questions. But as it already says, it has to be within the 21 minutes. So I would really like to enter that part with you and Edward, if you are ready for that, Ross.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Conecta el mundo.
Now, Ross, in a blog post from September last year, you mentioned that there are around 200,000, 220,000 charging points across Europe available to use for Satimoto. It's a huge number. Can you take us with you in the way of onboarding all those suppliers?
Yeah, sure. So actually, this number is just kind of a fraction of the amount of charge points that are actually available on the system. So the way that I went about kind of trying to scale quickly to get enough charge points in the system is going through what they call a roaming provider. So this roaming provider gives you access to a large portion of the charge points that are available in Europe, which is currently around 220,000. But I think there's more like 350 or 400,000 in Europe now. And it's growing like huge amounts every year, like maybe between 20 and 40% year on year. And I think China's got the most for a country at around 800,000. And the US is really falling behind, I would say, at maybe 150,000. So what I wanted to do is, when I started the project, is kind of go to a few of the charge point operators just to kind of see if they're interested in receiving Bitcoin as payment. And basically what I brought to them was kind of a solution to a problem that they generally have when they kind of commerce with other service providers. And that is, there's a big payment lag between when somebody charges their car and when the charge point operator actually receives payment for that charging session. It can actually be up to 60 days before they receive payment. So what typically happens is that the service provider at the end of the month issues an invoice to the user, to the person actually doing the charging, and at the same time, the operator of the charge points issue a separate invoice for all the charges that have happened through the service provider. And then that invoice gets paid at the end of the next month. So it's a huge amount of time that they have to wait.
Yeah.
And yeah, I tried to bring this kind of idea to them that, you know, we can really turn that around for them. Our customers settle in almost real time when they're charging, like during the charge and after the charge, depending on what kind of the charge point is. And we can really kind of work together, and we can both benefit from using a system where we can settle with each other instantly. So we can settle to the operators instantly, and then on the flip side, maybe they bring us more of an incentive on our side, so we can maybe lower tariffs or bring more dynamic market-based pricing to our users. But the big but is, you know, they're kind of, you know, big entities, and it takes quite a lot to change how their systems work. And they kind of want to look and see if there's any traction first. So what I am doing now is I'm first building a system where users can pay using Bitcoin over the Lightning Network, streaming in almost real time. And then I'm going to, hopefully, if there's adoption and people use it, then I can take that to the operators, and then we can bring them in as a next step and try and close that kind of circle.
But the operators that you already have onboarded, they actually also get paid in Bitcoin.
They don't currently get paid in Bitcoin, no. So we still settle in fiat, but they are aware that we are settling on our side in Bitcoin. So they're keen to see what happens in the most case. But yeah, currently we're still holding the Bitcoin on our side, but we're using kind of a treasury that we have to pay our operational costs.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
And now the benefit for them at the moment is that they get paid instantly and not yet after 60 days.
Yeah, and probably one of the next steps that I'm probably going to try as an intermediate is to bring like I don't know if there's a European version, but, you know, like a strike kind of operation where you can still settle using the Lightning Network with fiat, and it can be instant. So I can still kind of pay operational costs over the Lightning Network, but it gets instantly converted into fiat for them.
So you just use the Lightning Network as a payment rails. Yeah. Perfect. Hey, and well, you already talked about China a bit, but are there also plans to scale up to other parts of the world?
Definitely. I mean, we're looking. So we started in Europe when we only have a small percentage of the charge points that are on offer, just for testing purposes. But there's definitely more charge points for example, across Asia. I talked a little bit earlier about India. They're building a lot of charge points across the US, and I actually there's some charge points available on our system in like Peru and Colombia, a few, none in El Salvador yet, but that would be awesome if we could do that. I'm definitely actively working on bringing some charge points from the US into the system. And also kind of thinking about, because a lot of the initial interest from people has been, you know, there's some small merchants and private people who have like home charge points or, charge points like on hotel premises, for example. And like a few different people have come to me and said, can I hook it up to your system, because, they're not big enough to be kind of brought into a larger operator as kind of aggregated up into a larger offering, but they want to still receive some income from the charge points. So
that's interesting.
Is it easy for you then to scale up because the software already exists? It would be a little bit of plug in another service provider.
No, not really. So we would actually have to become kind of an operator on our side, and we would have to implement software that allows individual companies to then plug in their charge point systems into our system. So it would be work on our side to do that.
Do you think, Ross, is it well, you have a lot of experience now, I think. Is it hard to deal with all those different regulators in the various European countries where Satimoto is active?
Luckily, because kind of it's in Europe and it all comes under one kind of broad regulation scheme, there's not so much of a problem. But I think if Satimoto was a custodial platform or an exchange service, then it definitely would be on our side. Yeah. And I was looking into, different jurisdictions in Europe where I could kind of found the company earlier last year, like the Isle of Man, for example. But it was just too much of an initial kind of startup cost for me to kind of pull the trigger on it. So it didn't really justify it in the end. But I kind of became comfortable with staying in Germany and knowing that I'm a custodial service. It's a non-custodial service.
Non-custodial.
I know that currently we're kind of out of the boundary of this MiCA kind of European regulation at the moment. We're not like a CASP service provider. No, and hopefully that doesn't change in Europe because I mean it's very hard for them to actually regulate it actually if you're going for non-custodial wallets. So
And can you maybe talk us through the process of using Satimoto as a customer? So you install the app and then what happens?
Yeah, so the first thing it does, because it's kind of a wallet, just like Breeze, for example. First thing it's doing is it's syncing. It has a built-in LND node in the application, so it syncs the graph, and then what happens is when you first launch the app, it's basically doing like an LNURL auth with the server, and it's just doing kind of a signing of data. And what that does is allows us only to store on our server the public key of the user. So this is the only information that we have about each of our users is the pub key. So that allows each customer to be kind of pseudonymous on the system, which is something you absolutely don't get anywhere else in kind of the EV charging space. As soon as you get an electric car, you have to sign up to, 1, 2.
Yeah, I know.
I signed up to 5 different ones.
Yeah. I have an NFC tag, and it's all my data is on it. Where I live, my my
name,
bank account,
email,
my name,
address,
email, is on it.
Yeah,
everything.
I did the same thing, because I didn't really know the pricing or the coverage, so I signed up with like 5 different providers, and then the first thing I thought is that's like 5 companies that have my data and my credit card details, and I have no control of that.
Or your photograph with your taken with your ID. Yeah.
So I just thought, this like Lightning's pretty cool. This is probably a really awesome use case for payments. Maybe I can kind of flip the thing over and just say, you don't need to KYC to charge your car. You know, you don't go to like a petrol station and hand over your ID to pump 20 euros of gas. You know,
makes no sense.
Yeah. So
indeed.
So what happens is, sorry to carry on. What happens is, you know, as soon as you want to get kind of some Bitcoin on your wallet, you create an invoice just like you typically would on other wallets. And what happens is you're creating a hop between our LSP and the device, and that allows our LSP to create a channel on the fly to the device, and we do this on the first payment. So as soon as the HGLC becomes inbound on our side on the LSP, then we spin up a zero-conf channel, and then as soon as that channel is open, which takes like 10 seconds for a zero-conf, then we allow the HGLC to resume, and then you get your Bitcoin on your wallet. So it's a lot like Breeze. We're trying to take the kind of complication away of that channel management and liquidity management, and try to build something that we can kind of offer to a broader audience. And that's why I've initially gone for an application that actually has the node built into it, rather than setting up an application that remotely connects to a home node. Because I really want to kind of engage people who don't have nodes at home, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, indeed.
And this could be their first one.
And is it the same as Breeze, like using the neutrino technology?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah. So it's using neutrino, and it kind of loads all the header data from the chain that it needs to kind of verify the graph. And a part of our LSP opening channels as well is that because we have kind of a revenue model that supports us, we don't need to charge fees on like channel openings or things like this. So we don't take fees on any kind of routing between the device and the LSP when you're charging. And we don't charge any opening fees for the channel as well.
Cool.
Maybe that doesn't scale in the long run, but you know, it's cool. It's cool. I was
thinking, how does that scale? But well, that's a problem for the future, you know.
It shows that it works now. It's a proof of that it works, and I think that's the most important thing now. So it's experimenting.
Yeah, it's very much experimental, and as long as you get users that, you know, charge 1 or 2 times, then that covers the cost of the channel open. So it's enough.
Yeah. And are there also plans to integrate this service to unmanned fuel station? Maybe I was thinking maybe that could be also one of the places that this service will work, right?
So you're talking about kind of like petrol diesel stations.
Yeah. Just stations where there's no shop or something, just unmanned, where you now have to. Yesterday I fueled up my car also with my Apple Wallet, for instance.
Yeah, they do that to lower expenses, right? So you don't need a shop. You just go there, use your card, and then you can be on the road again.
I think it's very different how the kind of infrastructure is built around fuel stations, gas stations versus kind of charge points. So the whole charge point infrastructure is built around being able to roam between different service providers and different operators. So you can go to any one, and using an app, you can start and stop your charging session. Whereas I think with like gas stations, fuel stations, you know, they're not necessarily connected to any kind of central service where you can kind of monitor the state of the charge of refilling.
No, it's
the
more
car.
like it's a central station of the company that is providing that specific station, right? So for instance, Shell or Total or so. Yeah, I think the interoperability will also be a problem then.
Yeah, so I couldn't really connect to like the Shell mainframe server and say, how much petrol has Edward put in his car just now. He doesn't really.
And
work
Edward
like
puts
that.
a lot of petrol in his car.
Yeah, a lot. Every week. Hey, and what is it? Well, we're talking about petrol and all those things. What is the relation for you between green energy, electric cars, and the lighting network? Is it the golden combination, do you think? So make it more
Sustainable.
Sustainable, yeah.
This is like a tricky topic to talk about in front of other Bitcoiners, huh? I think it can be a very good combination. If energy producers embrace kind of Bitcoin as a way to kind of load balance systems, and if they accept also payments of Bitcoin for usage of electricity, then that already becomes a circular economy for them. There's like other companies like Satimoto. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're providing services between mining operations and electricity providers to do calculations of like exactly down to like the microwatt that's being used, so they can be charged over the Lightning Network. I think that can cover the whole grid, and I think that gives you like rigidity in like electricity grids if you can provide kind of a flexibility to support, like, I don't like to talk about like green energy or bad energy. All energy I think is good.
Yeah.
We're smart people. We want to use energy that's better for our environment. I don't think it's right to say you can't use one over the other. I think innovation and technology has to do that.
Yeah.
And I think just like the natural market will bring out the best, most efficient way to create energy. And yeah, I definitely think it's something to look in the next 10 years at. And I think it's going to make huge changes to grids. You already kind of see it in Texas, like how it's working there, and how it can work in bigger systems. I think there was already like a broadcast on German television a few days ago on one of the big television stations about how, I think it was Terahash or
Terahash was with the it was the guy with auto spray cans and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. So I think people are starting to understand mining as a technology and how it can be used to balance a system.
Yeah.
Because it's so efficient at being turned on and off.
Yeah.
And it's also, it can be economical when you're overproducing electricity.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that, Ross. The other way around is it would be also pretty easy to integrate payments to the user, right? I mean, if you're I'm using a dynamic energy contract now, so I'm also able to get paid when the energy prices are negative. Is this also something that you could integrate into Satimoto? That, for instance, for specific hours a day, the electricity price is negative. So when you charge your car, you receive Bitcoin. I mean, that would be something possible, right?
I think it's 100% possible, and I would love to see this in public operators. You don't really see it there. You see it more like yourself in the private residencies where it's maybe it changes per hour. Maybe it's an hour ahead charge or something like that.
Yeah, it's per hour. Exactly. Yeah.
I would love to be able to go to like an operator and say, we can like pay you immediately, or we can have a balance, just like a Lightning channel balance back and forth between
exactly.
paying and receiving. You can create like offers of saying, hey, we're overloaded on our system, come and charge your vehicles. It's exactly like what could happen at home as well. Maybe you could link that into your Lightning wallet and say,
that would be groundbreaking.
Maybe it's maybe paying Bitcoin is that would be very nice. But for instance, it can also help that company when they give a very big discount, right? When they say, well, if you charge now, we give you a 50 to 80% discount, for instance. Then there's also an economic incentive for them to integrate a service like that.
Definitely. And I definitely love to do something like that. I think there are some companies like that allow you to set parameters on your home charge point, which says, charge when the energy costs this amount, or charge when it's negative. It can happen the other way as well.
Project that I've seen.
I already do this.
Someone that we know.
Yeah, I already do this. I have a Home Assistant. I have also a Raspberry Pi spun up with Home Assistant, and I have now, because I have a dynamic energy contract, I can every day around 1 o'clock, I get the energy prices for the day ahead. And then you can already with a very simple script, you can already script some or automate some products that use a lot of energy to use that energy specifically in that time frame.
Yeah, like charging your bicycle.
For
example.
But also my car. It's already possible at home. But I mean, for those big, Total Energies or the people of the companies that already provide the charging stations right now, it's also I can imagine that it can be very helpful for them also. So.
I think it's interesting that people are doing these things themselves, and then bigger companies will follow. I think the experimenting is done on a very tiny scale, and then we set an example. I think.
Steph, are you mining Bitcoin when the price is negative? Then
that's
my
goal.
But
that's my main goal. But I have to tell you, because in Holland, the taxes are the biggest part of the energy prices now. Funny enough. So it's still not profitable enough to mine Bitcoin with it. But I'm just experimenting. I'm really
share it in the group, Steph, because I think a lot of people are interested.
I'm really the idea that this is possible got me. So
of course,
this is why I'm also thinking about making this available for the greater public, especially for companies like Total Energies or something.
Yeah,
I mean, they are also they can have a big profit out of it, I think. And
definitely.
I mean, it's very difficult to do this with the normal energy contracts. So I think it's and the normal payment systems. So I think Bitcoin is the great solution here. To integrate this.
Yeah, they currently have a very rigid scheme of being able to vary their tariffs. But it's not dynamic at all. So it would be great if they brought more of a dynamic kind of offer scheme to the big public charge points. And I mean, it's probably for the greater good as well, because it helps balance systems more and become more stable.
Definitely, yeah.
And I mean, there will be way more electric vehicles in the near future. So I think it's also very necessary to develop something like this. So
well, guys,
but we already
20 more minutes is up.
And we are now
and we had a lot of more questions.
25 or 28 minutes at what I mean. The gong
is
already
absolutely
there.
right. But we have still something interesting, Ross. So let's go to the next step.
Yes.
Соединим этот мир.
What we always do is ask a question from another guest to you, and then you can answer it. And you can choose this time. So I was thinking you can choose between a question from Bastien Tenturier from Async, from Herman Vivier from South Africa, Bitcoin Ekasi project, the community there. And from Jesse de Wit, and he is a Lightning developer working at Breeze.
Ooh.
So which one which question
It's
do you want to hear?
I can imagine there's going to be 2 really technical questions.
Probably, yes.
Definitely. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Or Herman Vivier could be a solution.
yeah. Let's go with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
You can't
That's
swap. You can't swap, right?
Hi there, my name is Herman from Bitcoin Ekasi, and my Bitcoin Lightning question for you is, what is the smallest Lightning transaction that you've ever made that had a real world purpose?
Ooh, that's a good one.
What would that be?
That's
In your
really,
case, maybe it's charging your car for 1 second or something.
I have actually made payments like 100 sats for a charge because the system failed and it cancelled the charging session. But actually, no, it's really great because I actually did. Somebody posted a picture on a QR code, or with a QR code, to Bitcoin Ekasi. I think it was one of the stalls there, or one of the merchants, and I did make a payment to it, and it was for 1,337 satoshis.
Ah, perfect.
So, lead.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ross. Thanks for sharing. Herman Vivier was in our episode 12 of past year, so it's a long time ago. But we've done a great couple of things with our Rings of Fire concept, of course. And I think we also sent him some of our NFC cards past year to use there. And you have contact, Steph, with a community member there.
Yeah,
who
Lutando.
Is, Lutando. Yeah.
He is managing
he has a Lightning node.
Yeah, he manages the Lightning node of Bitcoin Ekasi. But we surely need to invite Herman Vivier in the near future, Edward.
And you, of course, Ross. I told you earlier we have a lot of questions still, so maybe another time it would be our honor to have you back on the show.
Would be nice.
Absolute pleasure, and I really love the show. It's one of my favorites. So it's,
that's nice to hear, mate.
Ross.
It's a gift just to be on here. So
Thanks.
Connect the world.
Hey, Ross, where can people find you? Where can people follow you? Maybe you can share your Twitter or your website. I also see a GitHub link over here for the more technical guys from our audience.
yeah, you can visit twitter.com/Satimoto app, or my personal is /incrediblepants. You can look on GitHub as well. The client for our app is open source, so github.com/Satimoto is also the other one. Yeah.
But you said incredible pens, right? Or
Incredible Pants.
okay, because pens. I thought you said pens. You know what pens means in Holland? In Dutch, it
What
means
does it
belly.
Belly. Well,
Incredible belly.
I do have that with enough of these. I do.
A belly.
Nice, man. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah. Thanks again for being on the show. Really great. And thanks for listening, and thanks to all members participating in the Rings of Fire and the Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us. If you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning. And see you all next week at the same Lightning channel.
See you later, Ross.
Tot ziens.
See you.
See you.